What would you do if the only thing keeping someone alive was your voice on the other end of the phone? This is the story of Joe Baylor, a troubled LAPD officer working a night shift at a 911 call center. On the surface, it's another routine night of calls, arguments, and emergencies. But one call changes everything. A desperate woman, a missing van, a frightened child, and a haunting truth that will tear apart everything Joe thought he knew. Welcome to Swain Movie Minutes. Thanks to my first subscribers for the support. If you love movie recaps, breakdowns, and storytelling, hit subscribe and let's grow this community together. Stay with me, because this is not just about saving lives. It's about facing guilt, redemption, and the unbearable weight of choices. Joe Baylor is not where he wants to be. Once a street cop, now he sits in a dark, fluorescent-lit 911 call center answering emergency calls. His career has been hanging by a thread ever since an incident 8 months earlier put him under investigation. In a few hours, he faces a court hearing that could end his career forever. The stress is written all over him, his short temper, his curt answers, and the way he breathes into the phone as if every call is both a burden and a reminder of what he has lost. The center is noisy, phones ring constantly, voices overlap, but Joe feels alone. His headset connects him to strangers in crisis, but inside, he is suffocating. He takes call after call. Some are routine, others irritating. A man overdosing, a drunk shouting nonsense, a woman reporting a theft. Joe answers them with little patience. For him, this shift is something to endure until morning, but then the phone rings, and everything changes. On the line is a woman's voice, shaky, quiet, almost a whisper. Her name is Emily. She says she has been abducted. At first, Joe thinks it might be a prank, but then he hears the fear in her tone. She is calling from a moving vehicle. She cannot speak openly because someone is with her. She says she is in a white van. Before she can say more, the line cuts. Joe sits upright. This is different. This is serious. His instincts as a cop kick in. He immediately calls the California Highway Patrol, reporting the van and giving them every detail Emily managed to say. But without a license plate number, there's little they can do. Time is slipping away. Joe refuses to give up. He tries calling Emily's home. To his surprise, a young child answers. Her name is Abby. She's only 6. Her voice is innocent, pure, but filled with confusion. Joe gently asks where her mom is. Abby says her mom left with her dad, Henry. Joe's pulse quickens. This is it. He gets Henry's cell phone number and finally the van's plate number. He digs deeper and finds out Henry has a violent criminal record, including assault. Everything seems to fall into place. Henry must have taken Emily against her will, but Joe wants to be sure. He calls Sergeant Miller, requesting patrol units to check on Emily's home and Henry's apartment. Miller pushes back, reminding Joe that he's already in trouble with the law and shouldn't be overstepping. But Joe is stubborn. He cannot let this go. He insists. Joe then calls Henry directly. His voice is sharp, aggressive, almost threatening. He demands to know where Emily is. Henry refuses to answer and hangs up. Frustrated, Joe turns to his former partner, Rick. Rick is off duty, but Joe convinces him to investigate Henry's apartment. Rick reluctantly agrees, warning Joe to focus on his own court hearing. But Joe is already consumed. This case has become personal. Then another call comes in. It's Abby again. She is panicked. 2 officers have arrived at her house for a welfare check. Blood has been found. Joe listens, horrified, as the officers search. In the bedroom, they find Oliver, Abby's baby brother. He is gravely injured, possibly dead. Joe explodes with rage. He immediately calls Henry again, screaming, accusing him of killing Oliver. Henry hangs up once more. Now Joe is certain. Henry is a monster. Emily is the victim, and only Joe can save her. While Joe is preparing his next move, Rick calls back. He has broken into Henry's apartment and found something strange. Documents showing that Emily had recently been a patient at a psychiatric facility in San Bernardino. Joe pauses. He doesn't want to believe it, but soon Emily herself confirms it. On the phone, her voice is trembling. She says she thinks she's going to die. She doesn't want to go back to the hospital. She says something even more chilling, that she believed Oliver had snakes in his stomach and she had to take them out. Joe freezes. His heart sinks. The realization hits him like a truck. Emily wasn't abducted. Emily hurt Oliver. Henry wasn't kidnapping her. He was trying to take her back to the hospital before she hurt anyone else. Joe's entire perception collapses in that moment. Henry finally speaks to Joe. His voice is broken, filled with guilt and exhaustion. He explains that Emily had been off her medication for weeks. They couldn't afford it anymore. He admits that leaving her was a mistake, but now all he wants is to get her help. He doesn't trust the police or the system, not after his own experiences with them. But he insists Emily doesn't even know what she has done, and if she finds out, she may not survive it. Joe is torn. He has been chasing Henry as the villain, but now he hears the pain of a husband trying desperately to protect his sick wife. The night builds to its breaking point. Emily escapes from Henry and finds herself on a freeway overpass. She calls Joe one last time. Her voice is hollow. She says she doesn't want to live anymore. Joe panics. He tries to keep her talking. He begs her to think of Abby, to remember her children. He promises that Abby needs her. Then, in a desperate attempt to reach her, Joe opens up about his own demons. He confesses something he has never admitted out loud. Months ago, during his incident on duty, he killed a 19-year-old boy, not because he had to, but because he was angry. That boy had hurt someone, and Joe lost control. Now, the weight of that crime is crushing him. Joe's voice cracks as he tells Emily he knows what guilt feels like. He knows the pain of making a mistake you can't undo. But he also knows Abby still needs her mother. For a moment, there is silence. Then Emily hangs up. Joe's heart stops. He calls her back again and again, but no answer. Finally, the dispatcher confirms. Emily is alive. Officers have reached her in time. Joe's relief is short-lived. He learns Oliver is also alive, in the hospital, fighting to recover. For Joe, this night has been more than a case. It has been a mirror. He has seen himself in Emily's desperation, in Henry's guilt, in Abby's innocence. He realizes he cannot keep running from his own truth. He calls Rick and tells him to testify honestly at the hearing, even if it means Joe will go to prison. He decides he will plead guilty to manslaughter. No more lies, no more hiding. The Guilty is not a story about action. It's a story about voices, about truth, and about the darkness that lives inside people. One night in a call center turned into a confession, a rescue, and a lesson in facing the consequences of our choices. Joe Baylor couldn't save everyone, but by the end of the night, he saved himself from denial. And that's why. The Guilty remains one of the most gripping thrillers of recent years. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, and it shows how even in chaos, redemption is possible. If you enjoyed this retelling and want more powerful stories like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel and join me on this journey through cinema's most unforgettable tales.